Hey guys, so I wanted to do a little deep dive talk. I want to talk a little bit. I know I don't come here in my Instagram's feed very often to make videos. I'm usually in my Instagram stories, but I feel called to make a video here. So we're going to talk about some things. Today we're going to talk about time. We're going to talk about neutrality, and also how is your heart? You know, the base of this conversation really is the state of your heart. And the things that I dive into don't necessarily talk about the heart, but if you were to boil it down to its basic form, it's about the heart. What is the state of your heart right now? Honestly, what is the state of your heart? So just hold that in the back of your mind as we go into this conversation. So first, we're going to talk about time. I have some notes here, a lot of notes, so I can stay on track. So what are you doing with your time? What kinds of things are you taking in each day? Through the television, through social media, when you're scrolling through media. Also food, what kind of food are you taking in? When you're on social media, how long are you scrolling? Are you scrolling for hours and hours? Or are you a Netflixer? Are you binge watching Netflix? Don't judge yourself while you're asking yourself these questions, but what are you doing with your time? And I think even more importantly than what you're doing with your time is what is the content that you're taking in? What is it made of? What is it? In an emotional way, what is it? How does it make you feel? What does this content do to you? Are you getting angry when you're scrolling through social media and you see all these people and their opinions just make you real mad? Are you picking fights with random people? Are you really into the gossip and tearing other people down? What are you doing with your time? Honestly, what kind of content are you taking in? Maybe you like watching YouTube videos. What are you watching? What are you doing? Just observe. In these times, especially with what's going on in the world today, mental health is so important. And I bring this up because postpartum depression is a really big thing. And even beyond postpartum depression is just depression, anxiety. And during these tough times, we need something to help us with our mental health. With what's going on in the world today, we cannot stay where we're at. We really need to make the conscious decision to do something. We're in this space, this age of information where we have so many tools and so much information freely at our hands on the internet. We just Google things and we can know anything we want to know. And we can use these tools to become better people. It's our responsibility to become better people than what our society raised us as. It's our responsibility to heal the traumas, to heal the pain, and be better and do better than what we were taught. Do better for our children. This conversation is really important for caretakers, for parents, aunts, uncles, really anyone who has their hands in raising this next generation. We really need to work on ourselves. We can't just expect a better future by being the way that we are. Honestly, we all have stuff to work on. And I feel like we will always have stuff to work on in this lifetime as long as we're alive. There are just different levels to self-development, and there are areas, lots and lots of different areas to work on yourself. And so this brings me to coping mechanisms. When we are young, we deal with life how we have to deal with life. We just survive. A lot of us just survived. A lot of us didn't have parents that knew coping mechanisms to get us through the tough emotions. They told us to stop crying. What's your problem? But we're in a space right now where we are relearning everything. We're learning about our systems and how racist our systems are, how they were built on slaves, how this land that we live on was taken and murdered for. We're now starting to see beyond the systems. And we are relearning everything during these times. We're learning everything that we knew. And a lot of that also has to do with emotions. We should take this time to also learn about the emotional world. And so we need healthier coping mechanisms to get through life. Scrolling through social media to escape reality ain't cutting it. Video games, alcohol, drugs ain't cutting it. Stuffing away our problems ain't cutting it. We have a chance right now. The stars literally are all aligning for us to make a change. This is our time to make a change. And that doesn't just mean outwardly, that also means inwardly. How can we live peacefully if peace doesn't live in us? How can we live peacefully if peace doesn't live within us? And so that does mean facing your fears, going through the tough waters of life. It sucks, it's hard, it's scary, and it takes courage. And it's not for everybody in this lifetime, and that's okay. But I know there are people watching this and they feel the call. I feel you. Whoever you are on the other side of that screen, I feel you. And I know you feel the call and you're like, is she talking directly to me right now? Yeah, I sure am. And as caretakers, it's so important for us to find grounding. I've shared a lot of my story on my YouTube channel through different deep dives and just kind of the evolution of me. I mean, if you go through my channel, you see the evolution of me. I've been a bit quiet this year because I've been in a season of doubt and sorting through my pains, trying to find who I am, being doubtful of who I am so I can shed layers into a new version of me. And this year I've shed so many layers of myself, and as I grow, I'm gonna keep shedding more layers. And through this process, I've realized how important it is to ground. You know, I'm responsible for a lot of human beings, and I truly care how they're gonna act when it's their time to go into the world, because baby, I don't own my children. I'm the guardian. I'm the caretaker. I'm the guide. I'm the nurturer. Not the owner, not the possessor, the lover. And so our children, our nieces, our nephews, our grandchildren, they really deserve to understand what it's like to be nurtured and not be raised through survival. I mean, I don't have hate towards the older generations because a lot of them were raised on survival. You know, like my grandma's generation, her parents, they all went through the Great Depression. And so having food and having like a roof over your head, shelter, like that made you a good parent. But right now in these times, a lot of that stuff is just basic, you know, necessity. Like that's what you need. But there's other things that our children need now. And we're at a place in human evolution where we can actually see that very clearly. It's not taboo to be like, we need to focus on our children's emotional health. Like it's actually really important. Because a lot of us are in this place where we're like, oh my gosh, so much chaos was created in my childhood, in my teens, maybe 20s and 30s and 40s, so much chaos. And then you're just stuck with the life that you have. So what do you do from there? What do you do from there? We can't expect the outside world to give us peace all the time. And in fact, right now, that's not gonna happen. There's a lot outside of us that's just not gonna give us peace. We gotta find peace inside first. Because when you find peace inside, you start to experience peace on the outside. Because peace becomes your lens. It becomes the lens that you see through. And that is powerful. This world is a huge duality. It's a huge polarity. You got the positive and the negative and the neutral in between. It's a scale. It's never about positive vibes only. When you're in your positive vibes, enjoy it, baby, because there are gonna be days where you're not feeling so positive, and don't beat yourself up about that. I used to be that way. I used to think that, I think it's called hedonism, I think is what it's called. I used to think that my goal in life was to be happy 24/7 all the time and live lives in these highs. A lot of great lessons can be learned through the lows. A lot of transformational healing can come when you face your fears, when you find healing, when you learn how to let go of things. Healing isn't easy. It takes a lot of courage to heal. But I think one of the first things you need to know is don't be hard on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself during this process. Really be gentle with yourself. I like to treat my emotional self most times. Sometimes I have, self-sabotage, which I'm still working through. but I like to treat my emotional world like a newborn baby. Just find space and create space to be very, very gentle with myself. And that has helped out so much. I mean, how can you be more gentle with yourself? How can you be more gentle with others if you are so hard on yourself on the inside? Seeing the world through that tough lens makes you project intentions onto other people, that they're out to get you or that they don't like you. And so when you soften your heart, your vision starts to clear. It's like when you're hardened up from all your emotions because you think that shield makes you strong, right? You take all these situations in your life that hurt so badly and you're like, I will never feel those again. I'm gonna build a wall. I'm gonna build a tower around myself with those memories, with those emotions, and you will never hurt me again. And so you build that wall. And you think that makes you strong. You'll let no one in. No one can hurt you again because you have that wall. But can you feel anymore? Are you soft anymore? Are you gentle anymore? Did you lose some of your passion? Think about your child self. Our child selves are so free, are so loving, forgiving. And that version of yourself didn't go away. He or they are still there. It's just the connection that has been lost. Can always be plugged back in. You can always find yourself again. But you gotta find the connector piece and let it bloom. So I really want you to ask yourself today, what am I taking in? Observe this question. What am I taking in? Be the observer. Being the observer takes some mental exercise to really step out of your own perspective. You know, if you're stuck in your ways, if you're stuck in a perspective, it can be hard to adjust your lens and step out of your perspective because it's comfortable. Sometimes it can feel really uncomfortable to shed different perspectives or to look at the world through different perspectives. It doesn't mean that the way that you look at the world is wrong, but it's just a way to kind of have fun and see the world in different ways. There's an immense power in being able to see the world through many different lenses. It doesn't mean that has to be your opinion, but it makes you very knowledgeable when you're able to see the world and shift yourself to see other perspectives. You don't always have to agree, but it can help you understand people a little better or understand the situation and the variety of opinions and viewpoints. So take a step back and don't judge. You know, what are you taking in today? Don't try to change what you're doing to make this question, make the answer of this question a little better, but just go on with your day and then just observe what you're taking in. Don't judge yourself, just observe. It's hard to grow if you don't know where you are, if you're not honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. It takes a hell of a lot of honesty in this journey to grow. You gotta be honest with yourself. You can't lie to yourself in your head. You gotta put those lies down. I used to be really bad about that. I used to know one thing, but then I'd be like, nah, and I'd try to convince myself otherwise. It didn't work like that. You gotta be honest with yourself. And sometimes that does come with guilt or shame, and that's okay. In order to release those feelings, you gotta feel them. You gotta recognize them and acknowledge them in order to release them, because if you don't acknowledge that those feelings sit within you, how are you gonna release them? How are you going to move past that if you can't even admit that it's there? And a lot of us do. A lot of us are raised with a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. I know that I was. And there's also a lot of things in my life that have perpetuated more shame, more guilt, and there has just been, for me, tons and tons of layers upon layers upon layers of shame and guilt that I'm still working through. So take a step back. Don't judge yourself. And in this place, when you can step back and be the observer of a situation, this place I call the point of neutrality. It's the neutral lens, or the neutral point of view. See, there are three different sides. There's the positive, there's the negative, and then there's the neutral in the center. It's a scale, it's a polarity, and everything in between. That's the scale of our emotions, that's the scale of life. That is the scale of everything. So if you're wondering, how are you even going to look at life through the lens of neutrality, through a neutral lens. My suggestion is to start small. Don't look at your whole entire life and every intricate situation and try to break it down by looking through a neutral lens, because that is just confusing and that takes a lot of time. When you're starting off looking through the lens of neutrality, the neutral point of view, start with just a small situation that you can spend a few minutes on. Maybe not one that's too emotionally polarizing, right? Maybe not one that has too much emotional depth, but like, looking at what you do on social media. What kind of content do you post, or just what kind of information are you taking in? When you go to YouTube, what videos are you watching and how does that make you feel? Are you arguing with people on social media? Are you getting outraged on social media? Are you seeing all of the injustices in the world and you're getting angry? Now, there is nothing wrong with anger. This talk is not to shame anger. There's enough anger shaming in this world and we need to feel anger, but we need to have coping mechanisms to deal with anger. So we're not exploding on people with our words or exploding onto people with violence. We really need to sit in this space. This is called emotional intelligence. In school, we are taught all this intellectual intelligence. Mainly when I was in school, it was about memorization. There's little to no emphasis on the emotional world. In fact, our world has heavily neglected the emotional world. And I think that's why we see so many toxic masculine energies in this world, so many toxic males. This system ran by colonial white men for hundreds of years. The suppression, the racism. Toxic. It's very toxic. And it's because nobody's been focusing on the emotional world. It's about outward dominance, outward control. How about a little inner control? How about learning how to control your inner worlds, your emotions, your feelings? Maybe not so much control them, but learning how to balance them, learning how to navigate them, learning how to deal with them when times get tough. I mean, we have got to let our boys feel, our sons. We need to let them know that their emotions matter. We need more of that in this world. And I think a lot of that stems from the way that we are raised, and we need to question the way that we were raised, and if that's how we want to continue to raise future generations. I love my parents. I don't want to shame them in any way. They did the best that they could, and I love them. But I'm in a space where I know that I can heal. I have awareness. And I can inspire other people to heal too by giving them awareness. And we need that during these times. We need awareness. We need healing in these times. When the world goes really crazy, I dive even further into my healing. If more shit starts popping up, best believe I'm diving deeper. Because there's no way with the state of the world, with how it is now, that I can just stay stagnant and stay the same. And I hope you don't either. Because we need to find our roots. We need to put our roots in the ground. We need to ground ourselves. We need to take care of ourselves. Really and truly take care of ourselves during these times. Because it's summer, and I tell you what, things amplify in the summer. So we need to be prepared for anything. We need to find healthy tools to cope. So if you don't know where to start small. Just like I said, start maybe with social media and just observe. But you gotta lay down that inner critic, baby. You gotta lay down your inner critic. And if you've never done that before, it can be really hard, or it might even feel impossible to lay down your inner critic just for 1 minute. Because you have racing thoughts in your head and they say this and that, and you can't even control your thoughts. Your thoughts are just all over the place and they're so negative and they're so critical about you, about anybody else, and it's overwhelming. What are you gonna do? How do you stop that? How do you change that? How do you put the brakes on to life and be like, oh, what am I doing here? What is the purpose of all this stuff? What am I doing? Lay down your inner critic, love. Just lay it down for 5 breaths. Take 5 deep breaths for 1 minute. Throw some meditation music on, girl. Throw some meditation music on, and for 1 minute, feel what it's like to not be criticized by yourself. It changes your life when you do that. I promise, it changes your life. This lens of neutrality is so important, laying down your inner critic. Because sometimes it ain't easy to go from negative to positive, but there's a middle point from negative to neutral. And it's important to observe your life, to really have the awareness, to look around and be like, wait a minute, what is going on in this world? What is going on in my life? What is going on with me? How was I raised? How is that affecting my children? How is that affecting future generations? What am I passing down? What is my legacy? What am I doing here? And what can I do to add value to the world? Am I just gonna sit back and just be like, nah, the world got it, man. The world got it. Look at that, the world got it. The world don't got it. The world don't got it. The state of the human mind right now, the collective consciousness, the state of the earth right now, these systems are broken. So once you lay down your inner critic, hold space inside of you. That's what that feeling of resistance is when you lay down your inner critic. Holding space, creating space inside your heart, inside your mind of non-critical thought. Even if the space is just a little bitty tiny space of non-critical thought, hold that and don't let that go. You need that space because as you start this practice and you do it more and more, every time you do it, the space expands bigger and bigger and bigger. And soon you're sitting in your own world, on your own throne. Baby, that's where I'm at. In your own world, on your own throne, with unlimited space to create whatever you to create whatever you want to create, to heal whatever you need to heal, to see whatever you need to see, to change to change perspectives, to flip thoughts, to turn on different light switches to things that you didn't even know existed. That is what you can do in that space. It's unlimited. It's your imagination. It's creation. It's manifestation. This space that you hold inside your heart and your mind is so important. Because there is a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on out here. And so thoughts can zoom by, fly by. And in order to find grounding, you need to learn how to unplug from that world for a second. Plug back into earth. Plug into earth for a second. Earth is pretty magical. When you unplug from the electronic world and plug into the natural world, it's amazing. There's so much love. You start to really understand this relationship between humans and plants and just all the goodness that comes from that symbiosis and that relationship. It's so beautiful. It's been cultivated for thousands of years. Plug into nature for a minute. I guarantee your heart will change. You have to think. Your brain is a muscle, so it needs to be exercised. I'm not going to go into the gym and pick up a 60-pound dumbbell with one arm. I ain't doing that, man. I might get hurt, right? I might get hurt trying to do that. And it might not be fun, and I might not ever want to work out again. But one thing I could try is picking up a 5-pound dumbbell to see how that feels. So I pick up a 5-pound dumbbell and I lift it. So strong, man, I'm so strong. I lift it and I see how that fits for size. I can lift that, and it seems a little easy, so I'm gonna go to a 10-pound dumbbell. I'm gonna lift that bad boy up. And I'm gonna try that out for size. And that feels all right too, but I'm gonna go with a 15-pound dumbbell. And so when you are in your mind, you can exercise it. Maybe even if you've never done this practice of holding space or creating space for non-critical thought, maybe you're maybe your brain is just awesome. Maybe you have a really strong mind. Maybe you already do things to strengthen your mind, like working out. That's one way you can strengthen your mind. And so when you go into this place of non-critical thought, you're like, wow, I actually have a lot of space. That's like me lifting the 20-pound dumbbell and like this is the right fit, man. It's a little hard, but I'm strong enough to lift it, and I can gain strength here. I can build from here. That is powerful. Being able to create that space so you can build, so you can heal, so this future generation won't have as much dang baggage as us, you know? And the thing is, this is really important for me to note. The objective is not to have non-critical thought 24/7, okay? It's not to live in non-critical thought. To live in non-critical thought 24/7 leaves you detached from your world, because you have to detach to be the observer. Now you're not living your life. Now you're not enjoying the human experience. The human experience is about exercising all the parts, the positives, the negatives, and the neutral. For me, I love the positive. I love creating from this positive space, which is what I'm doing today. But sometimes I'm the observer because I need to see what's really going on in my life, or be honest with how I'm actually feeling so I can heal. Or sometimes I'm in the depths of my pain and I'm searching, trying to find what lesson is here. What can I learn from here? Who can I forgive? Can I forgive myself here? It's a scale, okay? It's a scale. You got to see the scale for what it is, but also understand that there is a neutrality point. There's a neutral point of view. This is the place of grounding. This is the place of just like relaxation, baby. Just like sit back and relax a little bit and like not feel so weighed down by critical thought. Oh my goodness, like it feels so good for me to hold space, to not be critical of myself, to be able to just like look in the mirror and just see me, right? Not just be like, oh my goodness, girl, you got some wrinkles. What's going on with your skin? Why your face so red? Oh my goodness, what's going on with my face? Like, you know, just relaxing a little, not judging yourself so much. Hold that space in your heart. Hold it in your mind. It is going to make you mentally stronger and emotionally stronger. And we need more of that in this world. And I encourage you, I hope that you take the call to go within and be strong. It takes a strong heart. It takes courage to go on this journey of self-development, of healing, of facing your traumas. Maybe you need a therapist to go through these rough waters. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Find someone that can help you heal. And if therapy isn't for you and you are brave enough to go on this journey yourself, then dive in. Look into some different coping mechanisms. You know, one thing that has really helped me along the way is inner child healing, inner child work. And if you've never heard of that, I suggest you write that down real quick. Just write it down and go look it up. It is very, very helpful. It's some good stuff. Okay, it is some good stuff. Like recently this year, I actually had to face the real monsters in my closet and bed. Obviously, these things weren't in physical form, but they were energy. You know, fear is energy. Fear is an emotion. Fear is a season, right? You got happiness, sadness, anger, and fear. Those are the 4 main seasons. Those are the 4 seasons of life. Those are the 4 rooted emotions from where all the other emotions kind of stem and grow from, right? Fear is one of them. And it's not fun to face your fears. You know, when I was younger, I used to take in a lot of scary content. You know, murder mysteries, loved them, scary movies, all the gory ones. Like I loved the Saw series. I saw all the Saw movies where people were like put into these death trap puzzles and they had to get out or they died. And they had to like cut off body parts and like, I'm getting flashbacks, like very graphic stuff. I can't do that anymore. After 2012, I was not able to take in any more content like that, which is weird to say, but I can't watch scary movies or do stuff like that anymore because of how it messes with my mental health. It made me extremely paranoid. It made me think there were demons all over the place and like monsters out to get me. I loved movies about like exorcism and stuff like that. And so I actually had to face the energy of fear that was inside my closet, you know, and under my bed. And facing your fear isn't easy, especially when they're rooted in childhood, because a lot of our core beliefs come from childhood. Unless we make the conscious effort to go back through and reroute, reground, build a new foundation for our adult beliefs, because there are a lot of adults running around here who are like children, right? Emotionally, just like all over the place with their emotions. But anyways, getting back to holding space. Some things that I like to do is throwing on meditation music. I like 528 hertz music, handpan music, flute music. These are all like meditation musics. I love them. They're so calming to me personally. They definitely speak to my soul, and they really help me get into a space where I feel calm, and I can look at things with non-judgment and be gentle with myself. And so when we're thinking about positive, negative, and neutral, as above, so below. You ever hear that saying before? As above, so below. Think about atoms. Atoms put together everything in this reality that we visually see. Atoms, so minute, so small. But as above, so below, they are made of positive, negative, and neutral charges, right? Atoms make up solids, liquids, gas, and plasma. And so there are positive, negative, neutral charges in everything. So we are made of positive, negative, and neutral charges. So neutrality is a natural state of mind. It is a natural thing. Let's exercise it. Let's play with it a little more. There's a lot of systems that have been created that make us think one way or the other, black or white, right wing, left wing, just all of that stuff, right? But it's not always black and white. We know there's a beautiful, beautiful spectrum of rainbow colors. So if you think about it, emotionally, we can live through positive, negative, and neutral. Just depending on the day, these things just naturally flow. And of course, intellectually, there are thought forms that are positive, negative, and neutral. So these are just the natural systems that have made up this reality. The objective is not to stay in neutrality, but to exercise it and expand it and create space for it and to hold space within you for it. And as you do it, more and more space is created. And also, holding space for non-judgmental thought helps you become less judgmental. You stop judging yourself less because you went, "Arr." You pause the brakes for a second, you're like, hold up. You know what? Even if I spend 1 minute in non-critical thought, I just became less judgmental. 1 minute less judgmental today than I was yesterday. And that is something worth celebrating. It might seem very small. Or, maybe today you're just 5 breaths less judgmental today than you were yesterday. Like, that is good. That is 5 breaths of peace that you got. That's a breath of fresh air. You got 5 breaths of fresh air today. Sounds pretty good to me. And as you go on, it'll expand, it'll get bigger. You'll be less judgmental of yourself because you'll realize how good it feels. Girl, it feels so good. It feels so good. It feels so good to be in this place of non-critical thought all the time. Don't get me wrong, I still get critical thoughts, but I've been able to hold so much space for non-critical thought, and it feels good. And when you start seeing the world with less judgment, you stop judging others as much. That's how powerful your inner world is. When you change the way you see, the whole outside world becomes different. Because now it's a new world, it's different. You're seeing things you've never seen before. And that's the power of perspective. The way that you feel really distorts your reality. So how do you feel? How is the condition of your heart? Really, how is it? How are you feeling? You ever just sit here and just feel your heart? Just let your heart speak and just feel it. How does your heart feel today? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling angry? Are you bitter? Bitterness is just emotions that sat inside you too long that they started to rot. They were so neglected that they turned bitter. So now let's talk about action. What can we do that's action-based? We need to do something. We got to navigate these dark waters, these dark emotions, these fears. We can't keep running our whole lives from them because we will always meet these things. It's just part of this reality. But how are you going to navigate through it? What tools do you have? So here are a few tools that I wrote down And there are so many more tools than this to cope with some of the negative sides of life, some of the dark waters, some of the shadows. Put on some positive music, draw, paint, sew, play an instrument, write, poems, exercise, dance, cook, clean, garden, play a sport, play a board game or a card game. These are all ways that you can kind of get out of your element and just really do something that is creative. We're in this like golden age, this amazing time where we're going to see art, we're going to see music, we're going to see all this stuff amplify with huge magnitudes when humanity is in our most sorrowful moments. The most beautiful art is created because art is emotion. Music is multidimensional, art is multidimensional. Think about it. When you listen to music, you feel emotions, right? You feel good, you want to dance, or you feel sad and you want to cry. You want to cry your eyes out because you're not just hearing the music, you're feeling the music. And that's the multidimensional part of art. Art also does that, and there are a lot of ways that you can create art. You can create art through food, through music, through drawing and writing, through dancing. I like to hula hoop. I create art through hula hooping. There are a lot of ways to create art, and these are all very, very useful tools to navigate life. Both, when you're feeling positive, these tools just feel a million times better. When you're feeling neutral, these tools can help bring you up. And when you're feeling negative, they can help you work through those negative emotions so you're not stuck there. It's not bad to feel negative emotions. So much can be learned from those negative emotions. However, don't stay stuck there. Don't stay stuck there. That's not a place to live in. We're not meant to live there. But maybe you don't know where to start. Where do you start? Maybe none of these things on this list sound interesting to you at all. So my advice for you is to go to your inner child. Find your inner child, connect with your inner child, and really think about your past. What did you like to do as a child? Maybe you liked to go camping. Maybe you liked to play in the lake. Go do that. Go camping. Go take your shoes off and put your feet in a little creek or in the lake and just really find your sense of home there. Find your peace there. Allow yourself to find peace. I honestly don't think, as adults, I don't think it has anything to do with, I can't find the right things. There's just nothing out there for me to find my peace or find my joy. There's just nothing out there. None of these things sound interesting to me. I don't think it has anything to do with the things that bring you joy. I think it has everything to do with how you feel and how you think. Do you believe that you're worthy to feel happy? Do you believe that you're worthy to feel peace and joy? Honestly, really ask yourself. And if you don't know the answer to that, look at your past and how you've reacted to certain things. Did you act in a way that you really reflected that you deserved peace and happiness? You really ask yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Be neutral with yourself when you're observing that. Don't judge yourself. But do you think you deserve happiness? There is so much power when we rise up as women in our power and encourage each other and support each other and love each other. The bonds of sisterhood are very strong. We change the world with our love. We change the world with our nurturing. What you're doing matters. Very much so. Please don't discount that. And don't be scared by it. These lives of these children were put in our hands to guide, so let's guide. There's just this huge door opening for immense change in the human psyche. Can you imagine being part of a world where we see unity, where we see change, where we see these systems break down for the betterment? That is beautiful. I imagine a future like that, where we care enough to care for ourselves. And when we care for ourselves, we care for others a lot better. And when we care for ourselves, we care for the earth too, because it just overflows. When you care for yourself, everything around you, you just start to care for more. That's why the inner work is important, because it all starts from within. You want to change the world, change yourself first. Like I said earlier, how are we going to live in a peaceful world if peace doesn't live inside you? Does it live inside you? Do you know what it's like to feel peace? If not, we got some work to do, baby. We got some work to do. So baby, get out there and do something with your life. Go do something. Make a change. Feels freaking scary sometimes, you know? Two of my favorite musical artists, Nako and Medicine for the People. That's just one brand. You can also just look up Nako, Nahko. He has some conscious music that's just been beautiful and very awakening to my soul. I also really enjoy Trevor Hall, and they've helped me a lot through working through darker emotions, because they have songs kind of about that. And then also just finding healing, finding peace, finding love, connecting with myself, connecting with the earth. It's been very helpful, because sometimes I'm sitting here like, what am I doing with my life? How am I going to find healing? I find my healing through sound, through music. So music is a very integral part of my healing journey. And just don't let your life pass by. I have something written down that I want to read you guys about doing something with your life and different regrets. The thing is, if you watch your life pass by, you're gonna feel a lot of regret. And then coupled with the regret is shame and guilt. Do you want to be on your deathbed with shame and guilt and regret that you can't take back your life? I've watched my babies grow so fast. It's a reminder that life is long, but it can go by fast if you're not enjoying it, or if you're not conscious or have the awareness to hold on to these moments, because they slip by very fast. They just... And I don't want to live a life like that, where my whole life slips by and I didn't do shit. I just stayed where I was and I didn't make a change. I just stayed. And I just let that feeling eat me up year after year after year. I feel like I've already lived many lifetimes where I've regretted my life, where I've died alone, full of shame and guilt, and I don't want that in this lifetime. Some of the most common regrets when people are on their deathbed. Number one, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. That's powerful, and that hits home with me because I resonate with that. And I'm gonna make sure that on my deathbed, I won't wonder if I lived a life worth living or if I had the courage to go after my dreams. 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. 5, I wish I had let myself be happier. Reading through these common regrets of people on their deathbed makes me sad to think that there are people out there who grow old in age and never grasp wisdom, who grow old in age and stay bitter. I feel sad for them. I feel sad that it was until they were faced with death and leaving that they had to come to terms with the things they did not do, the change they did not make, the love they did not express, the life they did not live, the expectations that were not theirs. That is sad. That is a sad way to live, and people do die like that. I won't allow it. as caretakers, we need to do the inner work. We need to be better than how this society raised us, how women were put against each other, how we're always picking each other apart, how there are these mommy wars. We need to stop. So let's rise. Your joy matters, I promise you. Your joy matters. Your peace matters. It does, I promise. It matters. You matter. If no one told you today that you mattered, I'll tell you right now, you matter. You do. I hope you believe that. I mean that from my whole heart. Over here tearing up. Your peace matters and your joy matters. So let's freaking find it, girl. Let's go find it. Come join me. I want to talk more about stuff like this. So come join me. Let's go find our joy together. Let's build up this freaking community. Let's build up this world. Let's change the world. And I know some people ain't down for this kumbaya shit. I am. Hold my fucking hand, baby, and let's go. Let's say kumbaya around the fire. I am down for that. I am down for that. In fact, I would love to be sitting around a fire with my friends, playing music, singing meaningful music with meaningful lyrics, soulful stuff, not this garbage on the radio. Because a lot of that stuff is brainwashing the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is very fascinating because that's where we act from. That's where our worlds and our imaginations and our fears and our emotions and our programming from childhood are. I gotta end this because it's long. But you deserve to relax. You deserve joy. You deserve peace. We are raising this next generation up, and they deserve to feel empowered. And they are empowered by empowered caretakers, by empowered moms. This world needs women to be empowered for thousands. You hear that word? Thousands of years. We have been suppressed from our power. We have been under men. Always. It's always the man. Always the man in charge. The man of the household. The husband. What about us? We're the stargates. We're the portals to life. We give life. I think that's why so many of us feel so disconnected and so depressed. I know that's why I did. We got no support, no love, no community, no tribe, no sisterhood. That stuff is stopping this year. We are rising as women, and in the best way possible. Not this false femininity shit, but true feminine power. Remembering who we are and our strengths, and how our vulnerability changes the world. The world will shift with our love. Love melts blockages. Love is way more powerful than fear. That's why all of these systems are built on fear. This land was taken through fear. Taken through violence. No more, man. No more. Literally, astrologically, these times are aligning for change. Where are we going? Humanity, where are we going? Do you care? Honestly, do you care? I think if you made it this far, you probably do care. So let's go. Let's ride this wave. Let's ride it. Let's find our grounding before things get too chaotic, because trying to find your grounding when the world is like exploding is not fun. Let's find our grounding now. We need real solutions. We need real coping mechanisms. We can't get caught up in the hate, in these wars, and the mental wars, the physical wars, the spiritual wars, the emotional wars. There's wars on every level right now. I'm deep into the spiritual world, and there is a lot going on spiritually. A lot. But look at our systems. More fear, more control. So we really need to hold on to our rights right now. We really need to hold on to our rights right now. We need to pay attention to these laws that are being passed. We need to pay attention. We need to be grounded. We need solutions. We can't just create more chaos from chaos that creates more chaos in the world and more chaos. We need solutions. We need people to ground. We need people to ground in energy and to be lights, to guide people, to be like, hey, come on, man, let's go ground. Let's find our tools of joy. Like, this world's crazy. We need to heal right now. When things get worse, we get better, right? When things get worse, we get better. When things get worse, we get better. Take your time, okay? Be gentle. Love yourself a little, baby. Love yourself a little. Have a little fun. Don't take life too seriously. Find your joy. Connect with that inner child. I love you guys. If you watched it this far, thank you. I hope the message from my heart is well received. Love you guys. I'll talk to you later.